Let's do it.
But look, man, hey, we got Jeff Iafrate. I told you guys we had some content coming a little bit later. Glad that he was able to take the time out. And we got some other things coming for you guys in the future. Some Pistons Trends by Woodward Pistons, hosted by Jeff Iafrate and myself, Detroit Kool-Aid. We will be bringing you a little bit more content. We just kind of go over some of the different Pistons topics that are coming out day by day. And Woodward Pistons podcast is still here as Jeff gets in Wednesdays as I get in. We'll at least get in at least 15 20 minutes beforehand, and then Rob Baird joins us to keep things going along. But it's been a cool experience. But as you guys can see, we got Kid Kool-Aid Part 2 as well. It's his birthday tour. He's been all over Woodward as well. He's been following the footsteps of Mr. Everything, man. He's been podcast number 2. He was on Morning Woodward as well. Let me get the microphone over there. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good.
It's like I'm Mr. Everything. He's Mr. Everything and some. Yep. You know what I mean? Like there's that extra with him, and he's been at the Pistons games too. So give him credit. He's been supporting the team.
Yep, Kid Kool-Aid, aka as Rob Beard called him, Drink Box. I like that.
Drink Box.
I like that.
Rod. I
love
man.
It. But bro, look, we gotta talk about some stuff, man. We got some Pistons trends we're gonna get into. But first, look, I got an article coming out, and this just hit me. I got to get your thoughts on this. Killian Martin, he said that, he obviously went out there, did what he did to Karl Malone. I'm sure everybody's seen it all over socials.
Yeah.
And if you were watching hoops, then everybody remembers that play. When he kind of took the elbow, just clean to the head of really like everything of Karl Malone, man, and just took him out. And he said he was doing that in defense of Zeke, and I don't know. I love that at first. I was like, yo, that's awesome. Somebody stood up for us. But then I was like, did we stand up for us? So look, man, we got the article coming out. Detroit, you failed the bad boys. Look, I'm a fan of Green Arrow, DC. You have failed the city's version. So I don't know. I had to conflate. I had to find someone. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to do it. And look, I got Uncle T over here. I told him already we're going to be talking to him about this, trying to get this article
Definitely
done.
want his thoughts on it.
Yeah, because think about it, man. Like, who stood up for Zeke? Who really stood up for Zeke?
Maybe besides Bill Laimbeer at times, laying down the law.
Yeah, but for that Karl Malone thing, it was like
that stuff.
With everything that the bad boys stood for, it was never checked. And the fans, just in general, when you look at the bad boys as a whole, bro, when you look at even the going to work Pistons, the way that we just kind of allow the culture of it all to die out. Now I get it, the organization. They've gone through some pretty bad periods, bro. They have. But I don't know, man. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the whole, Killian Martin, Isaiah Thomas, Karl Malone thing before we got into some of these more Pistons trends.
Listen, I love Killian Martin. I really do. I just saw a clip of him the other day where he was talking about rookie hazing. And he's like, no grown man is going to make me do anything. And I love that. As a rookie, too, he's like 19 years old saying that. I don't have a problem with it. I think I see where you're coming from, though. From a Pistons perspective, it is a little disappointing because someone like Isaiah, who's so beloved, he's like the Detroit stepbrother. I mean, really, not even stepbrother. He's just the brother of Detroit, man. He really is. A lot of people, that's the dude for the city. So it is surprising, but I got to read your article, man. And that everyone has to, by the way. Warsports.com merchandise. Check out the articles. Check out all the videos. Go check out Brandon's stuff, man. It's great articles, but I'm curious to see what you wrote about. I really am.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. Obviously, I'm gonna be doing it with the legend Uncle T. Foss.
Another
legend, perspective,
man.
There's nothing better than Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Then if I'm gonna write it, then having his perspective. So let's get into this, though, man. Isaiah Stewart is hurt. What are your thoughts on this? I know you guys asked me in the Morning Woodward show. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. How you feeling about it? What ways do you believe it's going to really affect the team?
I mean, it's unfortunate, dude. I mean, we've been waiting all season, at least for Burks and Bagley to get back, and those guys return. Stewart gets hurt. It's like you just can't catch a break. And on top of that, Cade's been missing some games with that shin injury. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All you can ask for as a Pistons fan is for these guys to be able to gel as a complete team. You get your entire 10-man lineup healthy, being able to play a stretch of games together. They just haven't had that. So it is disappointing, but at the same time, it may be a blessing in disguise. Not in terms of the win total, because it's going to affect that. Like Stu brings, I think people underestimate Stu a little bit and how important he is to this team. Not only like defensively, the energy he brings, but offensively, he's been playing better too this year. So they're going to miss him, but it definitely gives an opportunity for guys like Duren to play more minutes and be able to step up. I don't think he'll start. I could see Dwayne leaning Nerlens Noel in that starting lineup. You maybe get a veteran in there, and you can have Duren kind of keep that role, bringing energy off the bench. Bagley is gonna have to step up as well because this team's already lacks size. Like they're not the biggest team, and
They're
now
not.
you get Bagley back, you get Burks back, and now Stu's hurt. So it's unfortunate, but it also is fortunate because it's only a couple weeks, and he'll be back.
The reason
Long
why
term, they'll be fine.
the reason why it might be super unfortunate, just one caveat here. When I was looking at the roster, I was looking at the makeup of it. When Bagley was injured, they literally had one guy over the size of 6'10" that was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the wings, this is the other issue where it gets a little bit more tough. The reason why these defensive issues weren't as exposed last year, we'll get into this now, I believe was Jeremy Grant. And it wasn't just his wing defense. Being 6'9" with a 7'3" wingspan and being tough defensively means that when you're running smaller lineups like the Pistons have had to, having that much better of a power forward defensively than Bojan, that makes a difference. And they just haven't been able to put that out there. You look at the wings, you look at anybody that's not 6'10" or over, what do they have between 6'8" and 6'11"?
And what other guys
nothing.
And what other guys on the team that are 6'10", 6'11" that can switch multiple positions? Like Stu being 6'8", 6'9", he can guard pretty much every position.
Yeah, that's
and he can shoot.
blow, bro.
Like he can shoot. I know the efficiency, he's getting better. He's improved on that. But still, have a guy who could space the floor. Now you're really looking at Marvin Bagley as the only big man you got that can actually step out and hit a three.
He's
not even the greatest shooter, so it hurts him.
And we lose a lot of defensive intensity.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Look, I don't think any of these guys take plays off. I believe that this is a really good roster makeup of guys who play hard all the time. But there's just something different about Isaiah Stewart in the way that he just goes. When you see him out there, he's like a pinball machine on both ends of the court. Me personally, I know that people put Beef Stew as his nickname. I always see him as the Tasmanian Devil, man. Do you see Isaiah Stewart in the paint? I have some video footage of it, and I'm gonna go back and have some
scrapping down there.
But everything, when you just sit and you look at an Isaiah Stewart possession, is when you realize how little talent we have on this team. Some of the things he's doing, if we had just a reputable big man, or if Casey played the big man next to him, when we got to see him and Bagley a little bit, it looked good. He wasn't having to go out there his energy with more size around him, and he didn't have to try as hard, or Pistons were getting more out of what he was putting out there. So we're going to lose a lot with that, having no real wing defenders over the height of 6'7", 6'8", and losing, another big, that sucks. The positive here is, you got Duren and Bagley at 6'10", 6'11". As your bigs that are still there. You got Noel. Right. I could see them starting Marvin Bagley, though. I really could see them doing that.
Putting him at the center?
I could see them doing it.
How bad this team is in terms of their interior defense. I don't think Bagley helps out that area, but I could see that scenario as well. My only problem is, and this is what Stu brings as well, he just does those little things right. And you talked about chasing loose balls or getting after rebounds offensively. There's stuff that Isaiah Stewart brings that you're going to notice over the next couple weeks kind of lacking with this team. You'll see the impact he has. I know it's not always about the stat sheet for Isaiah Stewart, but he's actually almost averaging a double-double this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
He's giving you about 10 rebounds. So it's going to hurt, but I'm curious to see who else steps up. I think Nerlens Noel is going to get a significant role, so we'll see how he responds. But yeah, no doubt, man. Isaiah Stewart, that's a big piece.
Plays. It's definitely different. When I say Tasmanian Devil, you look at him going after rebounds on one end of the court. Even if he doesn't grab the rebound, he's making sure everybody else has at least felt that he's boxing them out, or at least a little chip of an elbow or something of that nature.
Right.
But none of the other bigs do this one thing that we were blown away with. His free throw attempts jumped 3, 4, 5 attempts more than last year. The other bigs don't shoot free throws, and if they do, they're not really
as efficient.
Yeah, that it's going to be something to look at. That's a big blow, and I think we're going to see with him gone, who he kind of was. We need him to be able to fill some of the roles that Jeremy Grant had. Instead, he's playing 4 and 5. That's the issue. It's putting too much stress on Isaiah Stewart. Now that he's gone,
you'll see the impact
defensively. Man, I'm just sitting here when you said it. I'm just sitting here man, what happens defensively with this team now? Jalen Duren becomes the absolute best defensive big on the roster. I think Nerlens Noel,
he's up there.
He's okay. He's up there.
He's solid.
From a skill standpoint, yes. From a standpoint of being able to go out there and get it athletically, that's just a freak. I believe Jalen Duren. Now, from a skill standpoint, I can't take the seniority away from Nerlens Noel. I can't. So he's up there, but in terms of the guy that can go out there and play you 20, 30 minutes a game, that's going to be Jalen Duren. Marvin Bagley, to me, I know he's just getting his feet under him, but what we saw last year, what we kind of know of him, I don't believe that he's going to be necessarily this great big rim protector, paint presence. He can be serviceable. He's not going to get just punked guarding people one man on man in the paint, but I don't know. I think that this is going to be one of those things where we said with Jeremy Grant, we believe we might be underestimating something. With the loss of Isaiah Stewart, it's a little tough because I started the season off wondering if he was going to be the guy to lock down a starting role. Now we're sitting here like he might be one of the more important all-around players for the Pistons.
And for Duren, this is a big opportunity for him. You've seen him get in foul trouble.
True that.
Like this is the stretch of games where that needs to be limited in terms of, getting fouls early, getting benched. Like he's got to stay on the floor, man. Like, so Duren, it's about knocking down, and also his free throw shooting. Like you want to see him improve there. But again, he's the youngest player in the NBA. You're putting a lot of pressure on him with Isaiah Stewart being out. His role gets increased. But hey, welcome to the NBA. I mean, next man up. You got to step up. So Duren, I think people will be pleased with what Duren brings over the next couple games, next couple weeks rather.
I do too. I think with opportunity, it comes confidence. It breeds confidence, for certain players.
Yeah.
And for Jalen Duren, all he needs is an opportunity to get out there, get comfortable,
Best way to learn is to play. I mean, that's how it is, man.
Yeah, and that was something I was talking about on the Morning Woodward show. I'm wondering now if ththese guys at this juncture need to just be thrown in.
Yeah.
And what we see here is this. Traditionally, with Casey's time as a Detroit Pistons head coach, the players that have deserved it have played. When we were clamoring for more Killian Hayes, we realized later we didn't want more Killian Hayes. Cade, there was no clamps on it there. Let him go. Just let him go. Sadiq Bey, he just let him go right out the gate. We were all wondering, why is he letting Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq play and not Killian Hayes? So now I'm just sitting here as I look more intricately at Jalen Duren. I understand why they may be a little bit more cautious about just throwing him to the wind, especially since he wears the number of another player here who was just kind of thrown in there without too much reins. You know what I mean? Without too much guidance, without too much to make sure this guy can develop into the type of player they believe he can be. And we believed when Drummond was drafted here, this is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
They didn't draft him saying, oh, we think he can be a really good center. They drafted him saying a lot of the same things the Pistons are saying about Jalen Duren. His athleticism is freakish. He can play. He can handle the ball. He can defend on the perimeter. And when they brought him here, they just threw him down in the paint, just said, just go. So I believe that to protect Jalen Duren, sometimes they may, Casey to a fault. I've seen Jalen Duren getting consistently 20 minutes, and then that's it. 20 minutes, and that's it. 20 minutes, that's it. It's like, I kind of want to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
I want to see a little bit more. Jaden Ivey, though, he lets that man go.
Yeah, he does.
What have been your thoughts? Now, we're 12, 13, 14 games into the season. They're starting their West Coast trip, which is going to be absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it will be.
Tomorrow
and
night,
Lakers.
10:30 start tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I know they're going to be in a much better mood than us dealing with snow. They're out there on the West Coast dealing with that sun.
Mm-hmm.
What is Jaden Ivey? Now we got some time to look at him and see that this is more than just a 4 or 5 game sample size. What are your thoughts on Jaden Ivey, man?
I think just his composure, man. Like, especially, I get down the stretch. It's something that, again, as a rookie, he's going to struggle with. He gets a little reckless. And that was the thing we've talked about with Ivy. But the stuff that we talked about that a lot of people didn't talk about, I think is being shown. And I mentioned this as well, defensively. Like, that's the part of Ivy's game that I've been the most impressed. And his passing is another part of it, too, because the guy, he might be one of the best passers already on the Pistons. And on top of that, what he can do with his size, 6'10" wingspan. But if you look at the stats, right, and you look at the rookies right now in the NBA, Ivy, especially with Cade out, with the ball in his hands, and we expected this, like that's how most guards are. You put the ball in Ivy's hands majority of the time, he's going to make plays. I didn't like how in the Raptors game, and this is my one criticism, or one of a couple criticisms of Dwayne Casey, is I didn't like how down the stretch he kind of took the ball out of his hands. Not in the fourth quarter, but really in the third quarter. There was times where Ivy would be playing off ball. Like, in my opinion, during this stretch of games, you got to put the ball in his hands and say, just go. Just go. Like, that is your franchise player. And with Cade, with Ivy, I'm willing to give that time. I know people question that fit. I mean, it's way too early. Those guys, you got to give those guys time to grow. But I've been so impressed with Ivy, man. I mean, he's so dynamic at such an early age. Give him more time. I'm telling you, in the next couple of years, Ivy and Cade are going to do some damage together. They really are, because
are.
you see Cade struggling so far this year. Ivy struggling at times as a rookie. Imagine these guys in their prime. Like, they're going to be a problem. They absolutely will be, and they're going to add another guy this upcoming draft. So I've been super impressed with Ivy, and I think his shooting to me is even more impressive than I think people give credit for, because I thought that would be one of his struggles so far. It really, his shooting has come along later. He's been knocking down shots, man. I mean, he's shooting like low 30s, 30-something% from three.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring
I'll
up
take
his.
I'll take it.
I'll bring up his stats, his advanced stats, because I agree with you. I believe that some of the questions that we had coming into the season that we weren't able to see out of his Purdue tapes and his time there, and during the run during the later parts of the season, we saw flashes, but we had the questions, and you continued to state, what was he asked to do? What was he asked to do? He wasn't asked to defend like this. We recognize that the style of offense didn't cater. We stated NBA spacing is going to be a trampoline for him, and it has been.
Oh yeah,
he's coming in
flying.
offensively. He's just all over the place, and they really can't stay ahead of him. And we stated defensively, what really is him? We said he hasn't been asked to really defend the way that we see him being asked here as a Piston. We haven't seen him he wasn't asked. He wasn't asked in college to play make the way that we see him here. That's awesome. And I don't believe that they're even really, I think they're just giving him some sets.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham, I believe, has the plays. Killian Hayes, I believe, has the plays. Not that they need them. I think they're just like, hey, you know what the sets are? Go out there. And because when you see him with the ball, it's just pure speed. It's just pure athleticism. One pick and roll, bro, and he is to the rim.
You know what's impressed me about Ivy too is you the first couple games of the NBA, teams are just learning about you. They're learning about your strengths and weaknesses. Now we're 15 games into the season. Teams have a scouting report on Ivy going into every game, and lately he's been playing well. So the fact that he's been able to adjust, teams being able to defensively react to what he's doing. I mean, you watch the Raptors game. He's driving to the paint. The entire paint closes up. Like, teams are understanding now, like, this guy's a problem at the rim. Like, he really is. And again, it's opening up shots for other guys. So
I'm proud of him.
Ivy is just,
I'm looking at the numbers here. I'm proud of this. You know what? His field goal percentage on the year, when you look at it, you say 44%. He's a guard. I can live with that. When you get into the numbers of it, his 3-point percentage, 34%.
I'll take that.
On 4.5 attempts a game, bro.
I'll take that.
I will take that all
Twice
day.
on Sunday.
His effective field goal percentage, 49.7, 50% effective field goal. That's the combination. You take that. His free throws, 4.4 attempts a game. They're getting up. I want to see him get up to 6 or 7 attempts. I don't care if he's a rookie. All this, earn your calls. He's earning them. He's getting fouled.
It's hard to deny him when he's,
Yeah, 74%. I want to see him get up to that 80, 82 that Rip used to be at, or Chauncey used to be at, and these guys. Chauncey was in the 90s, actually, and these guys. But I want to see him up into the 80s at least, and then try and approach those legendary statuses like, like Rip and Chauncey were at the line. But when you get into his advanced stats, man, I think it's even better. His 3-point adjusted rate, 34%. His true shooting, 54%, man. He's doing his thing. That means, based on the efficiency of where he's taking his shots, he's making them where he's taking. If it's a 3, he's making them at the correct percentage. If it's a shot in the paint, he's making it at the correct percentage. If it's a mid-range, he needs to make those at a better percentage. We'll say that. That's about my criticism is, you got to get that intermediary game. That's what made Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
That's not the speed, not necessarily the athleticism. Those things were great, but that mid-range is where he absolutely dissected. That was picking the meat from the fish. That was getting the bones out and all of that. So
and it's even impressive too. Ivy's been doing this with, if you look at the rookies and usage rate, it goes Paulo, Benedict Mathurin, and then there's Ivy and there's Keegan Murray. Like, these guys, he's in that class of
23%.
There's so many guys. There's so many guys around him that need the ball as well. And it's not like Benedict where they're basically throwing the ball at Benedict and being like, hey, go get a bucket. Ivy's in a different situation. He has Cade, Sadiq Bey. He's got a lot of guys. Killian Hayes, another ball handler. Like, there's other guys that need to share the ball, and he's doing this. So, again, there's going to be a time when that ball usage increases, and that means his production is going to increase as well. So,
yes, sir.
I've been impressed with everything I've seen on Ivy and Duren.
I have to.
Those two guys are hits, man.
I have to. Well, look, man, I think that's what we have for you today. We'll be back next time with some more Pistons trends. Hey, I'm Detroit Kool-Aid. This is Kid Kool-Aid hanging out for his birthday.
The legend.
Hey,
up and coming legend
right here. Definitely. And y'all already know Mr. Everything down here, Jeff Iafrate.
Yes, sir.
We got to get a drum roll just for the sake of it, man. For the legend, man. Hey, yo, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Shout out to the legend. Hey, you guys, I'm sure you've already checked out the content. If you haven't, definitely go back and check out the earlier video with Detroit News, Rod Beard. In it, we had a lot of good things to say, some good insight.
Always.
Yeah, definitely. Well, for Woodward Pistons, for Woodward Sports, hey, for the Jeff and Gentry Show, for From Half Court, for everything.
Cartoon me, as Rod would say. I'm a cartoon character now. Love you, Rod.
Rod misses you, man.
I miss him, man. He's great. He's great.
Definitely, man. Hey, till next time, Woodward Pistons.